hot on the heels of yesterday's devblog is today's devblog, which actually came out a day later, but it came out around noon on 4th of July, and I was out and about doing my 4th of July festivities, so we're getting to it today. But in this devblog, we find out what the next Dockyard ship is going to be. Wargaming announces a new munition type for carriers, amongst other festivities and activities going on in Update 13.7. So let's go ahead and get on into it. If you want to read along as I read aloud, you can check out the link in the description down below. I will be throwing up any relevant images or artwork as we go through it. Also, if you do find this video helpful, informational, or entertaining, make sure you drop a like and leave a comment before you click off of it. Helps on the YouTube side of things. But let's get going. So, they say, Update 13.7, Almirante, Oquendo at the Dockyard, Colorful Regatta, and more. Close test 13.7. Alright, hello captains, the sun is out and we're busy with two things, getting a sweet tan and preparing for content for update for 13.7. Let's take a look at what we're cooking, shall we? Again, these stealth blogs have gotten a little bit spicier over the past couple of years. Alright, so first up is the new Dockyard ship, the Almirante Oquendo. We already gave you a little tease of our next Dockyard ship in DevBlog 534, but let's make it official. The next Dockyard ship is going to be Tier 9 Spanish cruiser Almirante Oquendo. Named after the famous naval commander Antonio de Oquendo, this cruiser packs not just one punch, but 12 punches, one for each of our 203mm barrels. That provides some pretty solid damage per minute. We also got to talk about our special alternative fire mode called Modified Shells. When activated, these already impressive guns get even more dangerous, as their dispersion is lowered by 20%. That's gotta hurt.
That's gotta hurt! It's gotta hurt!
And that's in there. I didn't add that. Now, while she does have a powerful main battery and is pretty speedy, Almirante Oquendo has a quite vulnerable citadel. But be sure not to draw the ire of battleships or heavy cruisers, or else you might find yourselves literally sleeping with the fishes. The Dockyard itself will be broken into 20 phases. As always, you can obtain combat missions that will award you with Dockyard phases. However, you will need to obtain 2 phases outside of these combat missions. The great news is that similar to the Wisconsin Dockyard, players will have the opportunity to complete the Dockyard without buying additional phases. The Tier 6 German cruiser Leipzig will be offered as an intermediate reward, and those captains who were lucky enough to obtain her already will be awarded 2 phases after reaching her assigned phase. Who doesn't love a free ship? Additionally, each phase can be purchased for 2,000 dubs. There will also be a starter pack available for 3,000 dubs, which includes 2 phases, and 8,000 dubs, which includes 7 phases, for those who want to jumpstart their progression. These packs will only be available until you achieve 5 phases through the combat missions, so be warned. Regardless of how you get there, the final reward for this event is the Almirante Oquendo with a special war paint, permanent camouflage, and the Almirante Oquendo flag. The Dockyard event will last until the start of Update 13.10, with combat missions available to the end of Update 13.8. 13.8. Oh, yeah. Once 13.9 rolls around, you will only be able to progress the Dockyard by purchasing phases for doubloons, so make sure you get cracking as soon as the event rolls around. So, sounds again like we have a pretty generous Dockyard here. I know a lot of commenters would say, oh, you still have to like grind out the Dockyard and stuff. Well, yes, you have to grind out the Dockyard. It is a Tier 9 ship, right? The Dockyard ships are usually high tier ships, and these Tier 9 ships cost, like we saw recently with the release of the Johnston, $70, $80 a pop. Tier 10 ships cost $130, $150 a pop. Yes, that is expensive. Yes, that is a lot of money, but that's what they've cost in the game, and that's their set value. It's been like that for quite some time. So getting a free one of these, I mean, it's a pretty big deal, and Tier 9 is where the best economy in the game is at. So if this ship is good at putting damage out as they're talking about in this dev blog, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good one. So if you have the Leipzig, which is a Tier 6 German cruiser, you get the 2 phases for free because you already have it. And you only need 2 phases. So that's pretty cool too. And each phase costs 2,000 dubs. So even if you don't have the Leipzig, you only have to buy 2 phases. So you only spend 4,000 doubloons to get a Tier 9 premium ship and a Tier 6 premium ship and all the goodies and such that are included in the Dockyard. That's something that I think it's overlooked a lot when we talk about these Dockyard ships and how grindy the events are. It's like, yes, but you get the Dockyard ship, the intermediate ship, and all the containers, the steel and the coal that you get in the event as well. So it is a really good deal for just playing the game. And usually you can just play the game and get like half of the grind done without even really trying. It's usually in the last like 2 or 3 combat mission chains that the grind really does start to grind up. In the Wisconsin Dockyard, obviously I bought the Wisconsin just to review it for the channel, but I went back in, and just by playing the game as much as I normally would, which that time of the year, it's the end of the school year, and I'm a teacher, and that's an incredibly busy time of the year, so I wasn't really playing as much as I normally would. I still got, I think, like 75% of the Dockyard done, just by getting on and getting enough B-roll for the next day's video. And then for like when I finally got out of school, then I actually sat down and grinded out the last couple of phases, and I went on vacation for a whole week in the middle of that too, and I got just about all of them done. I think I got like I got to the last phase and I almost got it done, but then the time ran out. So yeah, and that was for a tier 10 ship. So this one I don't think it's going to be as bad because it's a tier 9 ship. So it sounds like it's going to be a good Dockyard. I'll obviously be very interested to see what the missions look like once they are available to us. And let's see, apparently they talked about the Oquendo beforehand, which I do remember them announcing. Yes, but I don't think they didn't say she was going to be a Dockyard ship. Yep, okay. Yeah, I thought the name sounded familiar. All right, next big bit of news from this Dockyard, this devblog, AP Skipbombers. AP Skipbombers. So let's see what they have to say about that. We're testing out a new plane type with the release of Update 13.7, AP Skipbombers. These squadrons will be added to the testbed German aircraft carrier Werner Vals, a clone of Manfred von Richthofen, and will largely function as the existing HE skip bombers but with the AP ordnance. Along with skip bombers, Werner Vals carries squadrons of AP rockets, attack aircraft, and torpedo bombers analog to Manfred von Richthofen. You can check out the stats of the squadrons below. So let's see, what do the AP bombs do? 6,800 maximum damage, and they bounce twice, and they get 1 bomb per plane, and then 4 aircraft per attacking flight and 12 aircraft per squadron. So it's standard Richthofen stuff. So that's there's more about them. These squadrons are designed to deal significant damage to broadsides with a higher maximum potential damage than AP rockets, but are less accurate and can be countered by effectively by angling, as the ricochet angles are worse than the rockets, with the bombs also traveling slower than the rockets. You can treat AP skip bombers similar to how you would AP shells. Angle your ship to avoid penetrations and encourage ricochets. Another thing to remember is that these particular skip bombs have parameters that change with each skip, such as the reduction of penetration and change the armor threshold for bomb arming. So when going against battleships, it's better to hit them with your first skip, and if cruisers are your target, then it's better to hit them with your second skip. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense, because if you're skipping the bomb across the water, which was a real tactic, believe it or not, obviously with each skip, the bomb's going to slow down and lose that momentum. So with battleships, you want to drop them on the first line, which is kind of easy to do with the skip bombers that we have right now, like with, the Nakhimov or the other German Tier 10 CV. A lot of times when there's a DD left alive, you just one-line drop them, and with the Alpha, the HE bombs, it tends to vibe check them to hell. And if these AP bombs are going to work in a similar fashion, you can one-line drop these battleships pretty easily and do a significant chunk of damage. So that's a little concerning. But obviously it's still just in testing, and they're just testing out the concept. It may not make it out of the testing phase. So there is that. And keep in mind, too, that they are still working on the CV rework. So that's going to be a thing maybe before this comes out. I don't know. It's been a minute since we've had any official updates. But I guess we'll see when it does come out. I don't know. I mean, like, the AP rockets, they're very scary until you realize you just have to turn a little bit. And then that's it. And keep in mind, too, that the ricochet angles are worse than the rocket. So there is that. They should be easier, in theory, to angle, too. So I wouldn't start panicking just yet about these. They obviously have a long way to go. I know there's a fair amount of the community that just doesn't like any more aircraft being added to the game or anything to do with planes in any way, shape, or form. But again, we don't really know too much about these yet to render too much judgment on them other than CVs are getting a new munition, well, plane type, if you will. Alright, moving on, some additional content and changes. The colorful regatta is coming back and making a splash in update 13.7. As a result, we have added the ZOW color and the colorful regatta flag to the game. So ZOW lovers rejoice, you're getting a essentially premium version of the ZOW. So if you like the ZOW and want to make it a little bit more of a moneymaker, you have that option going forward. They've updated the colorful regatta containers. I'll throw a screenshot of that on screen. If you can, just gander at that for a few seconds, that's what's going on with those. And they've added the following content for an upcoming event: the War Emergency Flag and the Battle Honor Permanent Camouflage for Thunderer. And the Heart of Oak containers. Which you can get a Belfast 43, a Theseus, or a Cossack. So I'm guessing this is the event where the Theseus is coming out, the new British CV. Alright. Ship Colossus, 0.02%. I wonder if that's like the Colossus, or if that's something else. That's an interesting way to word that, if that is the Colossus. Oh, they do note here that players will be able to purchase Theseus in the Armory and the Premium Shop. Thank God. Okay, so it looks like we're potentially going back to the here's the ship, it's out, buy it if you want it. If not, leave it, rather than the like 6-month early access cycle they've been going with. Although I guess we'll see what happens with Lee Johnston and stuff if they leave the Armory and the Premium Shop after the 4th of July event. Alright. Then there's the Heart of Oak premium containers that, of course, you're going to get better odds for your ships and such and that. And you also have perma camos with the Union Jack permanent camo, Battle Jutland permanent camo, or Alliance permanent camo. Alright. And then we're getting Historical Commander William Taylor, the Royal Navy Challenges patch. And they've added more flags to the game. Oh, the Slovak National Uprising flag. Okay. And let's see. Oh, and we're adding more commanders that which were previously available for a limited time during events to the Armory. All commanders will have 10 skill points and be attainable for 1,500 dubs. And there you go. I'll put a screenshot of that graph up on screen if you want to take a gander at that. Alright, and finally some very good news that we're getting some new unique upgrades. They say last but certainly not least, we've added some new unique upgrades. We have some new unique upgrades on the way. Vermont and Colombo are receiving some new shiny modifications that will change the way these ships play. Both upgrades will cost 19,200 research points. For the Vermont, she is getting the improved electric power system. And they say the improved electric power system upgrade for Vermont changed the ship's tactical role by enhancing the firepower and allowing for more effective countering of submarines and aircraft. And what it does is that it's in slot 5, so you get a 10% buff to the main battery reload time, so you have a 36-second reload time on the Vermont, a 15% buff to the reload time of your depth charge airstrike, and a 15% buff to your continuous AA damage. I'd get that just for the reload buff. And then the improved rangefinders upgrade for the Cristoforo Colombo increases the efficiency of long-range attacks, and it goes in slot 6 of the last slot, which will give you a 6% buff to the maximum battery shell dispersion and a 6% buff to the main battery reload time. So that is actually quite good for the Colombo. You get more accurate guns and you get a quicker reload. That's what's up. But you do have to give up the last slot. So if you're taking range mod, you gotta give that up. If you're giving the pure reload mod, you gotta give that up. But you get another 6% buff to your main battery dispersion on top of the 7% buff you can get from the aiming systems mod in slot. What's that, in 3? And I'm just realizing too with the Vermont, you get a 10% buff to the main battery reload time in slot 5. So in slot 6, you could also put the reload mod there as well and have a 20% buff. Well, I'm not sure if it exactly stacks like that, but what I'm saying is you could potentially put the reload mod in that last slot as well. And yeah, or you can run the American Artillery Platinum Mod 2 mod and get that nice buff to your dispersion on top of the 10% main battery reload time. Yeah, Vermont's going to be pretty crazy with that. So that's happening. So that is what's going on with this dev blog. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are you excited for? Dockyard looks pretty good, although of course that's going to depend on how good the Almirante Oquendo is. I'm very excited for the unique upgrades that were announced in the AP skip bombs there. They're interesting. I want to know more about them before, again, rendering too much judgment, but that is what is coming in update 13.7, fellas. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, wonderful weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.